Welcome you back to Christenberry Fieldhouse. We apologize for the technical issues, and I'd like to thank my partner Blake Collins for being on top of the situation and bringing the game back to you. The Jaguars with a 16-9 lead here over the Trojans of Mount Olive.
And fans, just bear with us. We will bring back the scoreboard as soon as we can get up. It's a little bit more of a lengthier operation to get that up and running. I'm working on it as fast as I can. We'll get that back up as soon as we possibly can. But for now, Robert and I will keep you up to date on the score as we move forward.
Thank you, Blake, and we certainly will. It's now 16-10 in favor of the Jaguars. The Trojans back to serve. This is the fourth game of our quadruple header here in this Jaguar Rumble weekend tournament to begin the 2018 volleyball season. And the Jaguars get a point at 17-10. One of the Jaguar newcomers, Sharik Brian Garmos, a junior from San Juan, Puerto Rico, a transfer from Florida State College of Jacksonville on the serve for the Jaguars, and talked about how her and several other new players for the Jaguars fit in nicely with this veteran team.
I love the way the defensive setter as well, Natalia Govea, went about that dig and that save out. She could have stood her ground on her base to dig that out, but she went to her knees to have a stronger base to dig that out, to get more height on the ball, allow her teammates to come under it and help her out on regaining control of the possession for Augusta.
The Jaguars with a point there. It's 18-10. Make that 19-10 after the point. Brian Garmos back to serve it. She gets it across, and now the Trojans on the attempt to return it. They do. Jaguars on the attack. And it back over their side, and Holland Martin dives for it and is able to come up with it, but hits it right at the net. So that's a point for the Trojans. It's 19-11. Let's make this note. We talked about Mackenzie Beck, how she led the team in kills last season, and so far picking up right where she left off is beginning her senior year for the Jaguars. She is also a all-conference academic member preseason this year.
She has been absolutely instrumental in a number of victories for the Jags. And it's not to say that the team goes and has downfalls if she's not in the lineup, but when she is in there, she makes the most of her opportunities. She makes the most of her kills and redirects the game plan of the opposing defense when she is opposing the teams that the Jaguars are facing. And then not only that, but she's also unselfish too, and will set up other players for kills, for floatovers, for any type of attack that is necessary to acquire the points for Augusta. Like, she set up Savannah Gonzalez at times last year. She set up Govea at times last year. So she got a little bit of a dual threat going for her, and that's helped her out tremendously. And now
she gets the kill on that one on the receiving end of the setup and spikes it down. It's 21-12 Jaguars. And the important of those assists is hitting the ball up to a teammate and getting the ball so the teammate can be in a good position to hit the ball down for a kill.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is when you go for high-impact kills like that, you want all of your driving force to come through the volleyball on a direct plane, on a downward spiral to an open position on the court where the defenders are not. And that's another part of her game that's lethal.
Jaguars with a 10-point lead, 22-12. Holland Martin hits it to the net on the service error, so it's Trojan point 22-13. So it'll be Trojans serve. And the Jaguars let that one go out of bounds, and a wise decision is That's a service error by the Trojans, gives the Jaguars a point, so 23-13, and now it's going to be Mackenzie Beck back to serve it this time.
Don't count her out on this game either. She's been known to serve up some aces to help the Jaguars.
And a beautiful kill by Chloe Allen, the 5'9" sophomore, right up on the net. It was hit right to her, and she hit it right down.
You know, Mount Olive tried to mount a comeback there, driving the ball, but just the brick wall up front with the outside hitters and the middle hitters were too much for Mount Olive to overtake there.
And the Jaguars take set one, 25-13. A good start here in the second match of the day for the Jaguars. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we will preview set two, with the Jaguars leading 1-0 on the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. We'll be back. Welcome you back to the Chris. The Jaguars getting set for set two after winning set one, 25-13. And what a good start the Jaguars are off to here in this one. Robert Ambrose with Blake Collins. Blake, can the Jaguars keep it up in set two? And if yes, how can they do so?
They definitely can. They have done a really good job of picking their spots of whether to attack and go for the kill or do a soft float over to confuse the defense of Mount Olive, and especially getting everyone involved, like Beck, like Govea, Gonzalez, Bolton, when she's in there. This team is all around centered to head to the playoffs. Mount Olive has, they did fairly well for themselves in the first set. You've got to give them a lot of credit for hanging in there as well as they did against the Augusta squad. And now with them having the first serve here in the second, now's the time to fully utilize a full court pressure, if you will, and try to force the Jags into some mistakes and catch them off their A game.
And another kill by the Jaguars. That's going to go to Jessica Hedrick. the 6'2" junior from St. Louis. Another one of the Jaguars' key returners this year.
Mount Olive had everything covered from the far side to the middle to the near side. Where they didn't have covered were streaks in between there. And Hedrick found an area where those streaks were open, and she attacked it, and she killed that spot. And the Jags are well on their way with a point and liftoff here in the second set.
Absolutely. In set one, the Jaguars won the kill battle 14-4, and they win the set by 12 points. So that was probably the biggest factor. You talk about how important those are. Also 15 assists to 4 in set number one as well. Played a factor too.
And not only that, as you see a dig escape Mount Olive there, but the Jags are also good in mid-possession at making adjustments and implementing either a hard kill or a soft float over, and that's depending on and reading what the defense does before they strike. They are very well acclimated to doing that, and that's a tribute to the whole Jaguars team and the head coach and the assistant coach for having these girls ready to come out and play to their fullest and best potential. Absolutely.
The Jaguars get the ball across there, and they get the point. And they are off so far, so good in picking up where they left off here in set two. They lead it 5-0.
When you have the middle hitters and outside hitters in a brick wall type of formation so close together that it's hard to squeeze the ball in between them, a lot of times that's what happens, and then you have to go readjust your plan of attack and try to get it over the head and over the arms of those attackers and of those hitters to try to get it more centered in the middle court and in the back court. Mount Olive didn't do a good job there. Look for them to try to counteract that as we move forward with that type of strategy, moving on to attack this Augusta defense.
Well, absolutely. So Jaguars with the serve, and it's returned to their side, but it goes straight out of bounds, so it's 7-0 Jaguars. Could not have started this second set any better than they have. I'll tell you that.
And Mount Olive seems a little bit off their game here and a little bit rattled. And right there, their first point off of a float over there may help them try to calm down and settle back into their game. But a little bit flustered to start this set off. That has allowed Augusta to migrate out to a 6-point advantage.
Absolutely, and a beautiful dive on the save by Gouveia, and they ultimately get it over to Beck, and now it's back on the Jaguars' side. And Beck stops it right at the net. Talk about a versatile player. Mackenzie Beck is a 5'10" senior. She can get the assists, she can get the kills, and she can guard the net.
Don't count her defense out either. She's a heck of a blocker up front as well when she gets a chance to be. And having four of those tools already to her advantage, she is a lethal player for Augusta, and is one of the main reasons why they were in the playoff hunt last year.
Absolutely, and she was the driving force on a young team that did not have any seniors on their roster a season ago. Jaguars lead it 9-1, and now they get it to Beck, and the attempted kill works to perfection. It bounced off of several Trojan players who were basically hitting it to each other, and were a little confused at the same time, and then it hits the ground. Point for the Jaguars, 10-9.
Phenomenal dig out right there to assist in the attack by Mount Olive there. Augusta quick to respond though.
Back to the Jaguars side. Beck hits it up. They get it over. The Trojans have several players right up on the net. And ball being hit back and forth right now. And a great job. That was Jessica Hedrick hit it right over the defender who was guarding the net for the Trojans, right over her head, and hits the ground. A beautiful floater for the point.
When you ask a critical part of your team that's fought all tournament long to keep you in a position like Mount Olive and Andrea Rivera has as their libero,
yes.
When you go to her twice in the same point and ask her to cover multiple holes in the defense at one time, she can do the best she can do, but Augusta utilized that to their advantage and attacked that, and she could not recover enough as much as she wanted to try to save that point for Mount Olive.
Right now it's 13-1. The Trojans have not used a single one of their timeouts so far this second set, and the Jaguars with another point as they hit one right to the corner. They're hitting it into the perfect spot. It's pretty fun to watch. 14-1. And that one goes straight out of bounds, and the Jaguars get another point. It's 15-1. And the Jaguars are doing a great job as well and are very aware of recognizing after a ball is hit by the other team over the net, if it's going to go out of bounds, recognizing that and staying away from it.
Oh, absolutely, and it's working to the Mount Olive, the Trojans' disadvantage, because they are getting good looks at kills. They're just not being accurate on the kills when they deliver those kills, and the reads by the Jags are helping them continue this onslaught against the Trojans, now up by 16.
17-1. The Jaguars are getting points basically any way possible. They've basically got at least 1 point in any way you can get a point in a volleyball match. They have done it at least once in this match. And they get another one on a ball going out of bounds. It's 18-1.
If you're Mount Olive right now, you still want to show fight and vigor left in this set, as we've seen them come back from multiple points down. But right now, they are scuffling out there on their side of the volleyball court.
And they have to play a completely perfect rest of the match because the Jaguars are capitalizing on every single little mistake that they've made.
Well, and not only that, but it's like, forget about this second set if you're Mount Olive. The third set is a completely brand new match. Settle down.
Absolutely.
Get back in your rhythm. Force the Jags to make their own mistakes and capitalize when they give you openings. And that's something that Turnabout's fair play with the Jags right now. They are implementing that strategy the best that they possibly can, because right now they are absolutely on fire.
21-1 is the score. And a beautiful dive by Holland Martin. They get it to Beck, and Beck, does she get the kill? Yes, she does, as the Trojans were unable to return it. 22-1. And Beck gets the kill once again as she was guarding the net perfectly. It's 23-1.
Jaguars continue to cook with Crisco. And again, the Trojans are getting very good looks. It's just the Jaguars are 2 steps ahead of them in their game plan and are able to see this and attack even on defense and stifle the Trojan offense.
That's exactly right. It's 24-1 already, a set point. A whistle, and that's finally a point to the Trojans. It's 24-2. Not so sure what that was about, though. Nevertheless, it's 24-2. And another point for Mount Olive, and right when it becomes desperation time, now they're starting to answer the call.
Well, the libero, Andrea Riviera, took a little bit off that serve, saw an opening, and saw that there was a little bit of a delayed reaction coming off that read for Augusta and just cemented the 3rd point off of that serve.
Jaguars hit it across. They get it to Beck, and she gets the kill once again. My goodness, it starting to get the feeling, Blake, that whenever the ball goes to Beck, you know the Jaguars are about to get a point.
Her and Govea both. Those two have been staples in the Jags defense and offense for the past 2 seasons, and they complement one another very well. Also with Savannah Gonzalez to that as well. And with those 3 rocking and rolling, this Jaguars team is going to be hard to stop in the regular season.
Absolutely, and if you're one of those teams in the Peach Belt Conference watching film on this game, you're suddenly realizing that when you play AU, you're going to have your hands full.
They're playing at a much faster pace this year as well, and that's attributed to more chemistry, as we talked about earlier. Not only that, but being comfortable with each other and knowing where everyone is supposed to be and being able to think and kind of maneuver to different spots to where the ball is going to be and be able to strike when they have those opportunities too. So a very good all-around team, and the Jaguars they're going to be a really tough cookie for the Peach Belt Conference this year.
Absolutely, and they'll also be a very tough cookie for Montevallo tomorrow, a 2:30 p.m. matchup. We'll talk a little bit more about that on the other side of this break. When we come back, we will bring to you set 3 of tonight's match. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Chris. The Jaguars dominate set 2, winning 25-3. And set for set 3, this is a closeout set for the Jaguars, which is always the toughest. And after the Jaguars dominated set 2, Blake, can they do it again in set 3?
They most certainly can, but if you're Mount Olive, you want to think back to that Falcon matchup that you just had. Think about the intensity, think about the game plan, think about the maneuverability, the footwork, the eye movement that you set up some of your points with. You want to relate back to that and bring that same type of fire to this set, because this is it. If the Jags score 25 points, you're going home.
That's right. And the Jaguars certainly want to score 25 points this set and then turn their attention to Montevallo, and that's going to be an epic finale tomorrow afternoon.
Absolutely. But you look too much further ahead, Mount Olive can put up a definitely good fight, and that's something that they're in the fight of their life for right now. Because down by 2 sets to this type of Jaguar squad, it's going to take everything in their arsenal to come back and make this game, or make this matchup, a series of sets again.
Oh yes, and right away, the Trojans come out right out of the gate and get a point on a beautifully hit ball. They lead at 1-0.
Just a little bit of miscommunication there between Gonzalez and Beck. Both thought they were going for the ball, so they stopped. The ball fell right in between them.
And once again, Holland Martin lets that one sail out of bounds, and that gives the Jaguars the point. It's 1-1. And a whistle, and the Jaguars get another point. It's 2-1. So we talked about how big of a game the match tomorrow will be between the Jaguars and the Falcons of Montebello. Well, before that, we have a game featuring this same Trojan team against Lander University. Lander, for those who think that sounds familiar, they're also members of the Peach Belt Conference. They will come here for a game in this tournament tomorrow at noon to take on this same Trojan team. And then at 2:30, the Jaguars take on the Montebello Falcons. Should be two outstanding games as well. What do you expect to see, Blake, in the first game tomorrow?
Well, for one, more competition coming out of the Peach Belt Conference and a test for the Trojans. And I honestly think tonight and the night of rest will do them wonders. Regroup, come back strong, and as you saw right there, a little bit of a mistake by Mount Olive there to try to get the kill just a little bit out of their reach.
Done beautifully, gives the Jaguars a 3-2 lead. Done beautifully by the Jaguars to give them a 3-2 lead. Holland Martin, the libero, will serve it. She gets it across. Beautiful serve. Now the Trojans hit it back over, and another one goes out of bounds for the 2-1.
And to continue what we were talking about too, the live game experience edge will go to Mount Olive tomorrow, so that will help them dearly along with the rest tonight. As what this set is not over, but once they're able to relax, rest, and come back strong tomorrow, they'll be a tough test for Lander tomorrow afternoon.
And I mentioned how the closeout sets are the hardest in volleyball, and it's showing to be the case here again. In this one, it's 4-3 Jaguars. The point just went to the Trojans. Now it's their serve, but Jaguars unable to get off to quite as fast of a start as they did in the first two sets. But they can definitely turn it on, as we've seen them do it before. They get it back on the Jaguars' side. Holland Martin hits it up. Now Beck hits it over. And the point for the Jaguars. The reason I say earlier how the Jaguars have taken advantage and capitalized on every single little mistake that the Trojans have made, I've lost track of the amount of balls that the Trojans have hit over but have sailed just barely out of bounds. The Jaguars have recognized them before they happen every time and know to lay off of them. That's how they capitalize.
And pinpoint accuracy like that, especially on kills and opportunities to maybe spring ahead, catch back up, or continue to pull away from a very good team is the difference between a win and a loss. And you keep mounting those same mistakes and misreads, miscommunication.
Absolutely.
The fundamental mistakes that you see a lot in volleyball will come back to haunt you in a major way in this type of matchup. And Augusta, even though it's been close, you can see Augusta just clawing and wanting to pull away, but Mount Olive is definitely resilient, and you're seeing that right now.
And it's a 1-point game as the Trojans are hanging around, and you can say the Trojans have the Jaguars right where they want them in that sense.
Yeah. I think though a couple more points swinging in the favor of Mount Olive would do them wonders and would
Absolutely.
catch the Jaguars off guard because, especially the second set, they were in control in most of that set. And when a good team like this tries to come from behind, one or two things happen. You either overcompensate and try to be too perfect and create mistakes for yourself, or you become more focused, more laser locked, and more vicious in the plane of attack and execute better than what you did when you were in control of the matchup. So it'll be interesting to see if that time comes, and we may see that tonight, or we may see that tomorrow, but when that time comes, how the Jaguars will respond to the adversity they're given.
And considering they're playing Montevello, who swept 2 different matches today in dominating fashion, good chance that there will be adversity thrown at them. To what extent we'll have to wait and find out.
Right.
But that's going to be the first real test for the Jaguars this season.
Absolutely. And for credit to Mount Olive, too, for this to still be a great set, only down by 3. They're fighting with everything they have. Now, you can see a little bit that they're starting to falter with fatigue just a tad, with a little bit of miscues up top and not as much power driving through the ball as they did have in the opening set. But they're still trying to call their way back and make a game of it.
Jaguars, what beautiful ball movement on the attack. But a good dig up on the other end by the Trojans, and they're able to get it back over there. And the Jaguars get the attack again, and they get the kill. And that makes it 11-6.
If you're Mount Olive, you just want to put that point aside because he did everything right. Got up at the right time, had a firm block in the process, just the deflection off of their arm took it out of play.
Jaguars now up 11-7. That's a point for the Trojans. Revea falls down as she digs that one up. And a net violation, and that's going to be Trojan point. So it's 11-8 now.
But that was a phenomenal save by Gouveia, going down to a knee to dig that out, to set it up for the Jags up front to try to capitalize and gain the point. It worked out in Mount Olive's favor, but you have to respect the tenacity of the Jags in going after it on defense to try to save points.
Absolutely. So the Jaguars will have a substitution. They're going to bring on that's Alicia Frazier into the game, and Gouveia will take a seat. 12-8, Jaguars up. And Jaguars get the point. 13-8, they lead.
The combination of things right there. When Beck went up, her eyes were shooting over toward the far left. She redirected in mid-shot to the right. A deflection helped that, but you could tell she redirected that. Great vision there by Mackenzie Beck to institute that and get the point off of that particular decision. And the Jags are cooking with Crisco.
That they are. 14-8 lead. They get the serve over, and that's a hard hit ball off of Ania Keene, and she hits it straight out of bounds. Didn't get quite the right angle on that one. So 15-8, and the Jaguars get another point on a beautiful serve to the perfect spot. 16-8.
Absolutely. Just enough in front of Rivera there. She misjudged her dive to try to dig that out. The Jags are picking their spots very well here in this third set.
at 16-9. Jaguars with the attack, and the Trojans hit it right back at 16-10. And on the serve, here come the Trojans, and Holland Martin hits it right back to Beck, and they get it over. On the attack, and that lands in front of a diving Holland Martin. So the Trojans get another point there, 16-11. This has not been an easy set for the Jaguars, but they're still in command up 16-11.
No, in Mount Olive had in mind what they were going to do from the get-go on the outset in a huge soft float over, and Holland Martin just could not cinch in the dig and get there in time.
Beautiful kill by Kim Krutzinger, junior transfer from Jacksonville State. One of the newcomers who has fit in nicely. She's going to go out of the game now, but talk about those important assists. You mentioned how important they are. It was hit up right to her, so she had an easy position to hit the ball straight down. So it makes it 17-11 Jaguars. Jaguars are feeling it on the bench right now. That's a point for the Trojans. The Trojans are feeling it too.
And once they get confidence behind them and start to spur off on a run, Mount Olive can be dangerous, as we've seen with the Falcons earlier.
Yes, they can. They're only down 5. No game clock here in volleyball. And Beck floats it over for the point. Makes it 18-12.
In traffic, and she somehow finds a way to elevate the soft touch, and the soft touch touches the ground before any Trojan defender can get to it. She is absolutely amazing for the Jags and what she has brought to this team, the fire she has brought to them, the vigor, the tenacity, the determination, and what she can do on offense and defense is absolutely captivating. Great job, Mackenzie Beck, on that point.
19-12 Jaguars, and Jaguars trying to keep it live, but they can only do so for so long. That makes it 19-13.
And there's a reason, just to follow up on that really quick, there's a reason why she made the all-conference team.
Yes, there is. And a little confusion on the Jaguars' side, and that ball goes out of bounds off of the hands of the sophomore libero Holland Martin, so it's 19-14. And now it's 19-15 as Trojans starting to roar back. They've scored 3 straight. Jaguars dig it up. They go on the attack. Does that land in bounds? No, just out. Point for the Trojans. 19-16. Just barely out of bounds.
The Trojans are still under pressure, but coming back as they have right now, they can kind of relax a little bit, but relaxing too much will get you what you just got right there. Left too open of a defensive hole, and the Jags still are capitalizing on those, but knowing you've come back from that far down originally, it's got to build confidence, and it also tells them that they can hang with this Jaguars team on any given set. So it's a huge couple of points win for Mount Olive. Even though they've lost some of those points, it's still a pretty good win for them right now.
Yeah, that's a service error you don't see very often. That was after the Jaguars ended the run of 5 straight by the Trojans to take a 20-17 lead off of the kill by Savannah Gonzalez. The service error is the Trojans serve, and they hit it right to one of their teammates.
Yep.
And that gives the Jaguars a free point, so it's 21-17 Jaguars. And once again, the Trojans hit one to the net, so it's 22-17. Jaguars still trying to close this one out. They'll send Chloe Allen to serve this one. She's a sophomore from Richmond Hill, Georgia. She gets it over. Beck digs it up. Now it's back on the Trojan side. Back over. Nobody wants to let this ball touch the ground, I'll tell you that.
There's tremendous fight left in both teams.
Jaguars on the attack, but it goes out of bounds, but it was off of a Trojan player who tipped it out. So that's a Jaguar point, and it's 24-17. Correction, 23-17.
Just a centimeter of a difference between a block and a deflection that cost you a point. If her arm would have been more to the left, just a fraction of a hair, she could have blocked that really well, and it would have gone to the Trojans.
(23-18) now. The Trojans serve it across, and it's going to go to Gouveia. She digs it up right to Beck, who hits it up in the air. They attempt the kill, but the Trojans save it and hit it back over. Gouveia digs it up again to Beck. Back up in the air, back over onto the Trojan side. Oh, beautiful job hitting it over, but the Trojans are able to save it. The Jaguars, you see their signature move of hitting it up towards the net to attempt to kill, and it fails 4 times in this set here. And the Trojans score.
And it looks like, at least from that initial point, that Mount Olive is adjusting to the reads the Jaguars are making and thinking one step ahead of them when they make those reads, and that's paying off for Mount Olive on that point.
Gouveia hits it over, and it lands inbounds, and the Jaguars get the point. It's 24-19. Jaguars serve it to get it over. And on the attempted kill, that lands! And the Jaguars sweep the match. They win set 3, 25-19, and they sweep both doubleheaders, 6-0 combined. Just like the Montevallo Falcons did earlier today, both those teams will square off tomorrow afternoon at 2:30, and we can't wait for that one.
No, we can't. But day one of the Jaguar Rumba tournament is officially in the books. What a day it has been, man. What a day. You've seen 2 really great squads distance themselves from the rest of the tournament, and saw some great tenacity, great perseverance by a Mount Olive squad that tried their darndest to come back in both games, especially the final set, as you just saw there, and against the Falcons earlier on when they played. Tremendous tenacity by them, nothing to hang their hat on here. Fix a couple of mistakes that were reoccurring in those games that'll shore up that defense, shore up the holes, and provide a better chance on offense for Mount Olive going forward in their season. And for the Jags, goodness gracious, like this is a way to come out and make a statement to the rest of the Peach Belt Conference that they are here to stay. They ain't going anywhere.
Absolutely.
And you're gonna have to bring better than your A game. Lay your heart out on the line if you want to try to beat this team. They are absolutely one of the, this team right now is one of the best all-around teams that I've seen the Jaguars have in the past 4 years, and they are going to be serious contenders as we move along in the Peach Belt Conference regular season and in the non-conference season as well. Serious contenders the Jaguars will be, and well on their way to clinching another playoff berth. Keep playing the way that they're playing right now, and that's going to be a reality.
Absolutely, it will be. We look forward to the rest of the season as well as tomorrow. You cannot look past tomorrow taking on the Falcons of Montevallo. We look forward to bringing that one to you to wrap up this tournament. We have a doubleheader tomorrow. Game 2 of the doubleheader will feature the Falcons against these Jaguars. The first game at noon Eastern Time, and the second game between the Jaguars and the Falcons beginning at 2:30 to wrap up the Jaguar Rumble tournament to begin the season. When we come back, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back to wrap it up shortly. Stay tuned. to Chris and Barry Fieldhouse as we wrap things up. I'm Robert Ambrose, and I'm joined by the head coach of the Jaguars, Sharon Quarles. How's it going, Coach?
Very well, thank you very much.
No problem. So now that this was definitely a long-awaited opener to the season, since last season ended, you had, coming off a season where you had no seniors on the roster, most everybody back this year, plus 2 newcomers. What did today's matches, both sweeps, tell you about this year's team?
It's going to be an exciting year. It's so fun to see. We have 4 people in every position, so there is competition from within. So there's no bigger, better motivator than having players that are nipping on your heels for playing time. So the kids are answering the call, they're stepping up, they're running the offense, they're playing great defense, so it's pretty fun.
And considering with most people back this year, just how much does that affect the excitement going into this year compared to other seasons?
Well, this is the first year where, we have 4 key seniors, one being an outside attacker, one being a right side. We have a D-spec senior, and then we also have a setter hitter right side. So we're covering the 4 corners, and then we have great fillers. And those kids, they're no slouch either. We have 3 transfers that came in this year, and then 2 freshmen that stepped in to fill out the roster for our 18-person roster, which is by far the largest roster that we've ever carried at Augusta University. So it's pretty exciting. So there's a lot more people on the bench and stuff like that, but opportunities there, and it's just a matter of, are they ready when their name is called?
And just how good is it to see the few newcomers be able to fit in as well, with everybody back as well?
Not only on the practice court, but obviously on the game court, as you've seen. Let's see here. There's been 2 of the 5 that actually are key players that have stepped in already. One being Cherry, who is the setter coming in from Puerto Rico, and then Kim, who's a D1 transfer from Colorado Springs, Colorado. And then we'll have Carla, hopefully, Rosario. She's the other player from Puerto Rico that she'll be eligible early next week to be ready for the Queen's University tournament.
We'll certainly look forward to that tournament as well. And there were a couple sets in today's game. The final set in your opening game against Albany State, you basically dominated, and then you dominated even more so in the second set of your second game. Have you ever seen a more dominating set as a coach here?
No, to keep a team under 5 points, that's I was talking to my assistant during the course of this at the point where it was 23-1, and I should have never said anything because they came back and scored 2 points. So shame on me, and I'll never do that again. But to keep a team under 5 points, a regional team that, they're really not that bad. It's just we are firing on quite a few cylinders, which is pretty good and pretty fun to watch. And the third set, we were able to get some other players in there, give them an opportunity to get on the court. But with those core kids, right now we're starting to find out, and stretch our potential and see who we really are and what we can become, which is kind of exciting on the first weekend out. So
yeah, and tomorrow, obviously, you had a short layover today, just a couple hours to rest to get ready for the second game, and now another short layover to get ready for tomorrow, having an afternoon game against Montevello. They did the same thing you guys did in the tournament today, playing 2 games, sweeping both matches. Based on what you saw throughout the whole day today, what does that tell you about what to expect for tomorrow?
Gotcha. Well, the 3 teams that we will have played by the end of tomorrow, they're very different, and each one brings something different to the table. And for us to address those challenges and just treat each match as they come along, and basically not to slow down the tempo of our game, but play to the level of the opponent, which we're trying to avoid. But tomorrow is going to be probably just exciting, if not more so, because it is Montevello, and they used to be a part of the Peach Belt Conference, so there is that kind of little rivalry there too.
So you have a little familiarity, you've seen them before, so you have a better idea what to expect.
Very much so, yeah.
Excellent. Coach Quarles, we thank you very much for your time, and congratulations on the 2 sweeps and wins today, and wish you the best of luck in tomorrow's match.
Thank you very much, and go Jags, and say hi to all the families and parents and friends that are listening and watching.
Absolutely. I'd like to thank everybody here tuning in to all 4 of our games here today. It was a great day for volleyball. For the quadruple header, we got another exciting doubleheader tomorrow. And once again, the Jaguars sweep both matches here, and we look forward to tomorrow at noon Eastern time. We will have the first game and the second game. The final game, the Jaguars take on the Montebello Falcons. This has been a special presentation of the Augusta Athletics Network on YouTube. I'm Robert Ambrose, and alongside Blake Collins. Thank him for bringing us a lot of the action as well today. Once again, this is a special presentation of the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. Good night, everybody. Yeah, kind of a good way to just wrap it up. Thanks for your time. Done. All right.
And then, like, because we can touch.
Huh?